Raw Monday night was the big initiation for Dominick Mysterio, and he took it like a champ. That was an uncomfortable segment to watch at the beginning of Monday Night Raw, but it was uncomfortable in a good way. Maybe not for Dominic. The next few days when he tried to shower probably wasn't a good feeling, but as a way to make you want to see Seth Rollins get his comeuppance at SummerSlam. You know, I don't like the whole Messiah thing. I find it very dull, but I thought he was very good in that segment as well. There was a contract signing with Samoa Joe hosting. It's always great to see Samoa Joe in these segments. I think he does a great job. Seth Rollins and Dominic were out for this contract signing. Dominic had two contracts to sign, not just the contract for his match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, which is now official, but the other contract was his official WWE talent contract. So he had two of them to sign. He is now an official member of the WWE roster. He is now, I guess, going to be a TV performer going forward. Their match has since been confirmed as a street fight, so they can have smoke and mirrors and weapons. That announcement was made on Twitter, where all major announcements are now made in wrestling. That goes for WWE, AEW. It doesn't matter. Twitter is the place where news is made. That's just the way it is. After Seth Rollins dispatched Humberto in about 3 minutes, the new jobber to the stars, Humberto Carrillo, now that Paul Heyman is out of power. Remember the stories that Carrillo is one of Paul Heyman's favorites, one of the new stars, the new young stars he was trying to push? Well, Heyman got pushed out. And what has happened to Humberto since then? The Humberto experiment appears to be over. I guess the dimples were not enough to get him over. The dimples were not enough to save Mr. Carrillo. After the match, Rollins and Murphy, they tied up Dominic in the ropes. First it was Rollins. He was waylaying him with kendo stick shot after kendo stick shot after kendo stick shot. Hard shots. They ripped his shirt off. They caned him some more. Then he let Murphy get some shots in on him from behind. So Murphy slid out of the ring, and he was hitting Dominic across the back, lashing him with the cane. Then Rollins was hitting him from the front. Simultaneously, he was getting it from every end. He was getting it from the front. He was getting it from the back. This poor kid had bruises and welts all over his body. Couldn't even stand. Rollins was going to give him the stomp, but he couldn't even stand up. Couldn't even get on all fours. He just collapsed. He crumpled into a heap. And the reason that Samoa Joe did not assist Dominic, even though he was sitting right there, I thought they made it clear, but there were people bringing this up as some kind of major oversight on their part. It wasn't. Byron Saxton made it very clear that if Samoa Joe got physically involved, he would lose his job. But what that does not explain is why in the middle of all this was going on for many minutes. This felt like it was going on forever. I'm sure it felt that way for Dominic. What that does not explain away is the fact that there were no referees. There were no referees. There were no WWE officials. Pat Buck, who's there every week wearing his ridiculous suits, he wasn't there. He didn't come out. No one came out to intervene. I mean, on this show most weeks, if you have two people who get up at each other's faces and even tease going into a fight, the referees run out. They run out. They sprint out there like somebody yelled half off at Waffle House. But here, this kid is being brutalized and nobody ran out from the back. But I thought this was a powerful angle, especially when Rollins looked into the camera as his son was just moaning and crying and tied up in the ropes. Ray's son, or Eddie's. And, Seth looks into the camera and he mocks Ray. He just destroyed the man's son. Maybe Ray hasn't re-signed yet. I know all the rumors are that he either has or is about to, but maybe he hasn't. Supposedly AEW matched the offer that WWE gave to Rey Mysterio. Maybe he's still considering his options. And this was a message. This was a message sent by Vince McMahon. Sign the damn contract. Or else tomorrow night, Rollins is going to show up with Negan's baseball bat from The Walking Dead. The barbed wire bat, Lucille. Sign the contract, Ray. Come on. If you love Eddie's son, sign the contract. No, they're actually teasing that Ray might be on Raw tomorrow night. So I assume they've already got him locked up. Although you never know, right? I mean, they put Matt Hardy on TV for a few weeks after his contract expired. Just to have Randy Orton kick the shit out of him. But they did put him on TV. He was not under contract, so... but guys like Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio, I would imagine they're not worried about them popping up on Dynamite Lex Luger style like he did on Nitro and stabbing him in the back, especially if Rey were to leave, and I don't believe he's going to leave, but if he was, again, his son still works there, so Rey is not going to screw over WWE. He's not going to do something that's going to burn a bridge. So even if he's on TV, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's actually signed the contract yet. Angelo Dawkins got a win over Andrade on this show. He called it retribution for what they did to Montez Ford, who was not there. Montez Ford is still recovering from his poisoning. What a dangerous place it is to work. Forget the COVID stuff, right? Which hopefully now they have under control. But what a dangerous place WWE is to work. You got people getting poisoned. You've got masked ninjas running around with chainsaws and baseball bats. I say again, who would want to work there? Who would want to work there? Zelina Vega has been adamant in this storyline that she had nothing to do with Montez Ford being poisoned, so much so that I'm thinking that she really did not have anything to do with it, unless Angel Garza went behind her back without her knowing and did it. I guess that's possible. I don't even see that necessarily as being the end result here. Here's the question I posed to all of you. I was thinking about this, just because it feels like they badly want you to think Zelina did it, but in the end there's some kind of swerve, and it plays into the theme. It plays into the subtitle of SummerSlam this year, which is, "You'll never see it coming." Every pay-per-view now has a subtitle. The greatest wrestling match ever, right? That was the Backlash show. The horror show at Extreme Rules. Now it's, "You'll never see it coming," edition of SummerSlam. What if it was Angelo Dawkins? What if Dawkins poisoned Montez Ford? What if he poisoned his partner? I know they're the champions. It doesn't really on the surface seem to make a whole lot of sense. Why would he do such a thing? But think about it. Montez Ford is the one who is always getting the adulation and the praise and the glory. This week was the first time that Angelo Dawkins went out there on his own and had the spotlight to himself. Maybe they're going to split the Street Profits up. Maybe they see what I see and what a lot of people see, which is a great singles future for Montez Ford. Montez and Bianca Belair together. Now, maybe Angelo Dawkins can have some mileage as a single star, too. But if I'm, the two members of the Street Profits and I hear that they're going to split us up, I'm a little more worried if I'm Angelo Dawkins than I would be if I were Montez Ford. Montez Ford, as good as Angelo Dawkins is, and he is, but Montez Ford is just athletically, he's a freak of nature. And he's got charisma for days. I still say there's money. Maybe it's a year from now, maybe it's years from now, but there is money in a heel combo of Montez and Bianca. Maybe they're going to split them up. Belair beat Vega in a separate match. She said in an interview after backstage, she said, "It's obvious who poisoned her husband," but she did not elaborate on that. And Dawkins said he'll be fine. He'll be ready to go by SummerSlam. I'd be looking over my shoulder if I were Bianca Belair. I'm just saying. Randy Orton, he beat Kevin Owens with the RKO. Another good match. Not as good as the women's match, but it was a good match. The right man won. Orton is the one challenging for the championship next Sunday. After the match, Orton said to Ric Flair, hey, Ric was going to leave the ring, and he says to Ric Flair, "Ric, hold on a second. Just stick around. Stick around until after the commercial break." And that's when you knew that the old man was doomed. The moment he said that, you knew this guy was doomed. So they come back, and Orton's talking about how he has every right to be angry and pissed off at Ric Flair because Flair is the one who, basically put him in the match with KO. But he said he couldn't be mad at the Nature Boy. Nature Boy did a lot for him early on in his career. He said he respects Flair, but respected, I should say, but no longer. No longer does he respect Ric Flair. He called him a liability. He said that he knew Flair wanted to be in the spotlight. He craves it. He loves being in the spotlight. He said that He knew Ric Flair wanted him to be the son that he wished he had. And then Orton says, "Are you crying?" And he wasn't crying at that point, although he did start to cry a few minutes later. He said, "Well, you're going to cry, that's all that you're good for. You're a junkie for the spotlight." He said, "I'm going to win the championship for the 14th time at SummerSlam, which is all that you should be concerned with, but all you're worried about is yourself." So then Flair took the mic. And this was not a bombastic, loud, charismatic Ric Flair promo, because I don't know that he has it in him anymore. You know, not the way that he used to. He's an older man. He admits that he is. He said the Ric Flair from 2001 isn't here anymore. He said, "You know what? You're right. I like being with you because I like being in the spotlight. I'm 71 years old. I still get to be on Monday Night Raw." He goes, "I got guys like Hogan calling me up on the phone asking me, what's it like?" And he tells him it's the best feeling in the world. And Flair said he wants to be there when Orton eventually breaks his record, not John Cena's record, my record. And he called him the best performer in the business. He was sucking up to this kid, to this guy. My God, I just called Randy Orton a kid. Randy Orton's like fucking 40-something years old. He ain't no kid no more. But he's sucking up to Orton. And Flair then gets very emotional, and he says, "You know, when I was clinging to life, I was in intensive care in the hospital for 31 days. All I wanted to do, all I thought to myself, I wish I just had the chance to tell the people I care about that I love them." And he said, "Now, today, I'm just Charlotte's dad. And I just want to be in your corner when you break my record." So Orton smacked the mic away from him and just gave him a big hug, gave him a big old hug. And when Flair turned around, I guess to go to leave, Orton dropped and gave him a low blow. He gave Ric Flair a taste of what Ric Flair did to many a wrestler over the course of his career. He gave him a low blow, and as Flair fell backwards, Orton he grabbed him very slowly, lowered him to the mat. He's very fragile. You know, guy's 71 years old with a bad ticker. They're not taking any chances. They're not going to let Ric Flair take any bumps. Not anymore. So he gently lays Flair down on the ground. And he starts talking to him. And WWE.com put a video up on YouTube and on .com. And they had captions to show us what Orton was saying to Flair. Because he was muttering things. We couldn't really pick up on what it was. Basically what he said to him was, "It's all going to be over soon. I promise you. I promise you, Rick. Thank you for everything that you've done for me." So that's what he was saying to him. So the lights are flickering. He's setting up for a punt kick. And the lights are starting to flicker as they were doing elsewhere on the show because of the whole retribution stuff. Either that or The Undertaker has decided to come out of retirement. And as he goes to deliver the punt, the lights, at just the right moment, they go out. And when the lights come back on, Flair is unconscious. So we're supposed to believe that he punt kicked Flair in the head. They didn't want to show it because it's a dangerous move. Orton's done it before. He can pull, you know, when you're a wrestler, you can pull punches, you can pull your kicks. But you know what? Sometimes you don't pull it enough. And they're not going to take the risk of having Randy Orton literally kick a 71-year-old man in the head. So I know there's a lot of people who think that this could be a swerve. Again, the whole SummerSlam theme, right? You never see it coming. They think that he didn't really kick Flair, which of course he didn't, but in storyline, it'll come out that he did not kick Flair, and Flair's going to show up at SummerSlam, and he's going to, low blow Drew McIntyre or do something to help Randy Orton win the championship. He's going to help Randy Orton win the title, and it's all just one big swerve. And I don't think it is. I think this was their way of writing him off TV for now, as he should be. He should not be on these shows, traveling back and forth to these shows. He should not be. It's crazy that Ric Flair is on these shows. He is a grown adult. He can do whatever he wants. He's going to be on the shows. Ric Flair is never going to say, well, you know what? I'm not going to do this. Or if WWE calls on him, he's not going to say, thanks for the offer, but I'm going to stay home. because everything he said in that promo is true. And that's one of the reasons why I liked it. I liked the genuine nature of it, because I absolutely 100% believe that Ric Flair is a junkie for the spotlight. And he enjoys being on Raw. It makes him feel young. It keeps him connected to the business. It's all he's ever known is being Ric Flair, is being a wrestler, is being on TV, is being on camera. So absolutely, I believe that much of what he said was 100% true. And I heard that this was not a scripted segment. It probably wasn't. He was speaking from the heart. But the reason they turned the lights out was not to, convince us he kicked him and we're going to find out he didn't, because you can't kick the guy in the head. I don't understand people being upset. Oh, they didn't show the kick, man. That was cheap. They blacked it out. Of course they blacked it out. The guy's 71 fucking years old. Use your imagination. Of course he wasn't going to kick him in the head. I thought Flair was great here, even though I don't think he should be on TV anymore for the time being. He knocked it out of the park. I thought this segment was great. I thought Flair's promo was great. Orton is doing some of the best work he's done in a while. Shawn Michaels is now being promoted for Raw tomorrow night. I guess he's going to confront Randy Orton after what he did to Ric Flair, so they're going to trot out another legend. And I guess we'll see what Randy Orton does, if anything, to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels at least can defend himself. Shawn Michaels is, he could take bumps. He can fight back. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night.